take 2 weeks and do nothing but study. No preaching, no teaching, no visiting, just take 2 weeks and study. And there was one of the mothers in the audience was standing pretty close to me, and she said, "Oh, I'd like to have 2 weeks too." And then under her breath, she said, "With no children." Well, some days it's like that, but I know I've been around enough moms during my lifetime to know that while there are days like this lady seems to be having, that there are days of happiness too. And so this morning we're going to do an acrostic on the word mother, of course. We're going to talk about some things we've talked about, some of them before, and we're going to readdress some of them in a different way. And so I hope this will help us to appreciate our mothers more and to help you, your moms, to know how much you appreciate it and realize your responsibilities as you need. This is one that I've used before, managers of the home. This is very important in the home. You know, there is a little plaque that you find in some stores, and it says something that some moms don't like, but it seems to be true. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Amen. We need to, moms, you need to realize that this is an important thing. Now, men are the head of the house, yes. And men, I've seen some men in my lifetime who wanted to I'm not thinking of the proper word, but inspect everything the wife did. They wanted to make sure this got done. Men, you need to let your wife take care of those things. And if she's not taking care of it, you might say something to her, but you need to let her do her job without micromanaging everything she does. 1 Timothy 5 and verse 14. Paul said, "I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully." There are a lot of ideas we could come from with this verse. As Paul was writing here to Timothy, he said, you encourage, you tell the young women, this is what I want you to do. And there's no greater thing, I think, that can be done than to see a mom who has bore a child and is raising that child and is truly a mother. Now, it's not just giving birth. That doesn't make someone a mother in the sense we're talking about. That's a biological thing that God put with us, that women bear children. But I'm talking about moms who really take care of the home and they take care of the responsibilities they have. And we'll use that as our last point this morning, so I won't get into that here. But realizing the importance of what you do. You know, there are a lot of things to get done, and I really appreciate moms more than I can tell you. Because today, and we'll talk about this in a moment, a lot of moms have to work outside of the home. And so you've got that added stress of a job. Then you come home and there's still things to be done, and there are things that you're going to have to do because, well, quite frankly, most of the men would probably agree with this. We wouldn't do it. We just say, oh, there we are. But there are things that make a home what it needs to be. You know what to do. And some others are managers of the home. In Proverbs 31, the proverb writer here talking about the virtuous woman. Says she's not afraid of the snow for her household, and her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. You see, here's the woman, the virtuous woman. She knows her family's taken care of. That's a great responsibility. You know, guys, we know we're supposed to be out there making sure this and that gets taken care of for our family. We want to be there to protect them and provide for them. But the mom has a special role there. And it's something that she watches after the family. And she makes sure these things are taken care of. And it says she's not afraid to snow for her household. This woman goes forth and she's proud. She doesn't worry about what her family is going to be looking like or doing because she knows she's taking care of that. And she wants to do that because when someone sees her husband, as we'll see here in a few moments, they're going to say, that's her husband. Look how he's taking care of her. Those are her children. Look how they're taken care of. That woman knows what she's doing. She can manage the home. She knows how to take care of all these things. Well, today, again, many moms have to work outside of the home. Now, I've heard all kinds of things down through the years about that, but, you know, let's think about this. The virtuous woman worked outside the home. I know a preacher who teaches that women should work outside the home. Well, in his situation, he's always been blessed because he's always had a job that he made a really good income, enough that he didn't have to have his wife work outside the home. In fact, his health insurance was paid for, and his retirement, and all those things were taken care of. And most every place he's been, and his wife actually did work because she kept children, and then she taught school for a while here and there, substituting those things. But you see, the Bible doesn't say it's a sin for a woman to work outside the home. In fact, it talks about the virtuous woman here. It says she considereth the field and buyeth it, and the fruit of her hand she planteth a vineyard. You see, she did other things rather than just take care of the household itself. And so, women working outside the home, again, I really appreciate you. I appreciate all moms because, you know, I've heard people say, well, she's just a housewife. Well, if she's a housewife, she's got a full-time job right there. And if she's got children, you know, I love children. I do. I love babies. I love toddlers. I love teenagers. I love them all. But being with them 24/7, I love children. But women, mothers, you do that, and we appreciate you so much for it. The virtuous woman still took care of her family. She riseth also while is yet night, and giveth to her household, meat to her household, a portion to her babies. She makes sure her family is clothed. She makes sure they have food. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth out, not out by night. She gets up early in the morning. She stays up late at night. She works. She wants to make sure her family is taken care of. Well, I appreciate you, Mom, because that's a lot to do. And men, if you don't appreciate your wife for what she does, if you didn't say Happy Mother's Day to your wife today, shame on you, because they need a day. And they shouldn't have to do a whole lot today. You may disagree with me, y'all beat me up after it's all over. But mothers are special people. God thought they were, and we need to think so too. She compliments her husband, Proverbs 31:23. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. Her husband is known in the gates. There's her husband. And well, I know who his wife is. He's known because he has an important place when he sits there in judgment, and he's known that that's her husband. She makes sure he's prepared for that. And so, mothers are managers of the home. Well, it's something else. You got the children, you got jobs, and you got this going on and that going on. Women, mothers are observant of the children. Observant of the children. Exodus chapter 2, 1-4. And there went out a man of the house of Levi and took a wife of the daughter of Levi. And the woman, Jochebed, conceived and bare a son, and when she saw that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and dabbed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's bank, and his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. We recall this story. This is Moses we're talking about here. And his mother, Jochebed, notice she saw that he was a goodly child. She cared for that child. She was watching that child. And that's an important thing to watch children. Now, I'll tell you something on Riley. I was put in charge of watching a child one time by myself. And I'm pretty good at that, so you can trust me to babysit if you need me to. But on this one occasion, another one of the elders of the church and I were doing some work, and we needed a certain tool, and so we said, well, I know who's got one, and so we jumped in the truck and we took off to get that tool. And we were sitting there talking to the lady, and my elder looked at me and he said, that baby's in the house. And we immediately left, and I went back to see if I could take care of Mark, to see if he was okay. Well, women don't do that. Women remember their children. They watch their children, and that's good. They watch them. I was looking at a verse. It really didn't seem to fit too much in this point, but I remember when everybody was talking about Jesus, when he was a boy, and Mary kept those things in her heart. And that's really what we're talking about. Mothers can look at children, and they can kind of see which way the child is leaning. This may be a mischievous child. Mom observes that and sees that. Dad most of the time thinks those things are funny, and Mom says we don't be laughing at those things. And I know parents, there are times when our child do things that are wrong, but it's so funny you have to turn your head because because of what they've done or what they've said, but we know moms watch those things and they correct those things. In 1 Samuel chapter 2, beginning at verse 18, this is Hannah talking about Samuel. But Samuel ministered before the Lord, being a child girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made a little coat and brought it to him from year to year when she came up for her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife and said, "The Lord give thee seed of this woman, and for the loan which is lent to the Lord." And they went into their own home. You recall it. Samuel's mother was unable to have children for so long, and she prayed to God to have a child. And God blessed her that she had a child. And she told God, "If you give me this child, I'll give him back to you." And so when he was weaned, and in this period of history, to wean a child, the child would be about 6 years old. When the child was weaned, she took him to Eli, the judge, and gave him the Lord's service. But from year to year, she always made him a little coat and took with him when he went to see him. She was watching her child, seeing how he was doing, but she watched him to make sure he was ready to give to the Lord. And so mothers are observant of their children. Now, moms, I know none of you here have had to do this to your child because something's been done, and you're trying to correct them. And the caption behind this, I didn't put it up here, but this child has done something. And you see how much the child's paying attention to the mom here? Well, I know that never happens in y'all's household, but mothers are teachers of good things. I can't emphasize this point enough to you, moms. It may be little lessons that you teach them about creation or things God has done. It may be great lessons you teach them that they're going to need to help them get through life and get to heaven, but you're the teacher of those things. And you can't rely on Sunday school teachers to teach everything. They only have a few moments with our children. You can't rely on the school system today because of the things they teach. So you've got to do some teaching yourself. And I appreciate the moms here who I listen to the children. And our children will tell you a lot of things too, by the way, so be careful with that. But I hear things that you taught them. Proverbs 1 and verse 8, "My son, hear the instruction of thy father, but forget not," notice this, "the law of thy mother." Now, I don't know how it was in everybody else's house, but Ernestine had a law. That was my mom. It was Ernestine's law, and I knew I wasn't supposed to break that law because she had this little patent leather belt. Now, some of y'all don't even know what patent leather is. But let me tell you what it is. It's not comfortable when your rear end is being hit with it. Ernestine had a law. Well, moms need to have a law. There are things you need to tell your children. This is right and this is wrong. Now, you may not spank your child as the Bible teaches you ought. You may not do that. You may correct it another way, but you better correct it. You better correct it. You're a teacher of good things. When you take that little child, it's like a piece of clay. And you mold that child as he's growing or she's growing. And if you tell her yes, or tell him yes for everything, when it should be a no, you're doing them a disservice. Moms, you're teachers of good things. You need to have a law for your children, and they know not to cross that law. Children learn by example. Mothers need to be the brightest lights their children see. Dads need to be too, but this is Mother's Day, so I'm picking on moms today. Matthew 5:16, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." Moms, do your children see you with the Bible in your hand? Do they see you studying God's Word for yourself, or do they see you with your phone or a magazine or the TV control all the time? Do they see you with the Bible in your hand? Do they see you with a lesson book in your hand, reading or a good Christian book? Do you ever call them over and say, "Look at this verse. See what God's done? See the blessing?" Moms need to be the greatest light that our children see. Moms, the things you do. Now, I really hope that we have moms who don't do things like the world does. And even when temptation gets the best of us. Sometimes we're tempted to say or do things that the world is doing, and we need to say, wait a minute. We don't do that as our family because we follow God. We don't say those things. We don't do those things. We don't go to those places because we're following God. Moms, those little children are watching. And you can tell them, you can't do that, you can't do this, but if you do it yourself, guess what? They're going to want to do it too. My family, I was raised in a house where my mom and dad for a while. My dad finally quit, my mom did eventually. But I never could understand why I couldn't smoke, because they smoked. It looked like if they could do it, I ought to be able to do it. Well, I was told when I was 21 I could make that decision. Well, no, I never got to make that decision, and I'm glad I didn't make that decision to do the way they did it. But children learn by example. And so we need to make sure moms that we're setting the right example. Mothers need to teach their children the scriptures, as I said earlier. 2 Timothy 1:3-5. Paul was writing to Timothy, he said, "When I call to remembrance, notice this, the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, I am persuaded that it's in thee also." You see, grandmother and mom, scriptures were in them. And they had a strong faith. And Paul's writing to Timothy, he said, I know that faith's in you because it was in them. Moms need to teach their children the scriptures. 2 Timothy 3:15, he said to Timothy also, "And from a child thou hast known the Holy Scriptures." You know, we have classes, and I'm so glad we do. And I appreciate the way that the teachers work on their lessons. And, you know, we have material that has to be used. That's the material we've determined to use. And so we use that material to help our children grow. But moms, you can take those lesson books and you can look at them and you can teach those lessons with them during the week too. That'll help you teach those children. He said, "The scriptures which are able to make thee wise in salvation through faith was in Christ Jesus our Lord." Paul knew Timothy had this. Moms, your teachers are good things. Make sure you're teaching them the scriptures. You also have to teach right and wrong. Now, we had a lady worship with us back when that was the auditorium over there. She had, I don't guess she'd ever told her children anything was wrong. We had several discussions about that because I told her, I said, if you don't teach them right and wrong now while they're in your arms, when they get to be 15 or 16 years old, they're going to tell you what's right and wrong, and it's not going to be correct. Well, I don't know if she ever changed. She left us, went somewhere else. Not because of that, for other reasons. Moms, you have to teach what's right and what's wrong. Sometimes we have to say no. I know it's difficult sometimes. And I guess I'm preaching to Riley this morning because sometimes the grandparents have to realize we have to say something's right and wrong. Well, moms, if you don't teach that, it's not going to be taught. In Proverbs 29:15, probably Riley has a whole lot to say about moms and raising children, but here he says, "The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself giveth his mother to shame." Now, I've had to sit at the table with parents who wondered where they went wrong. Well, I knew where they went wrong. I've been watching them do it for 3 or 4 years. They wouldn't listen when I tried to explain to them, you have to bring this child in to understand right and wrong. And now the child's in trouble. Friends, moms, teach your child right and wrong. Do what the Bible says. Proverbs 29:17, it says, "Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul." There's nothing prouder than seeing a mom or a dad and their child has done something and been pointed out for it, and you see the pride in them, but that's my child. Well, that's the way it ought to be. So moms, teach right and wrong. Well, you know, I think there's always days like this. You got all the things in the world going on, you're trying to do something, she's on the phone, she's on the computer, she's got one in her arms, and there's a bullhorn, and that bullhorn makes a lot of racket because I have one of those. But that's life. That's life today. Well, mothers are helpers. Mothers are helpers. Mothers are helpers, first of all, with their husbands. A wife knows that she's there to help her husband. Proverbs 31:10-12. Who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies? And men, if you've got a wife who's a virtuous woman, and I do, you better thank God. Some men don't have a virtuous woman. Some men don't have a woman who cares for them and their family. That's not a happy family. It says, "The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life." Here's a mom, here's a wife who's going to be with her husband all her life. She's a helper. She's a helper. Proverbs 31:26, she opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. The law of kindness. Wives, moms, if your tongue is sharp towards your husband, you need to change that. You need to change. You can be upset, but you don't have to have a sharp tongue. You don't have to insult. You can correct, even to a husband, but it needs to be done in kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he prays with her. A wife, a mother, has to be a helper to her husband. But not only that, she's a help to her children. She's a help to her children. And moms, if you thought having a child was going to be easy, and you thought after the baby was born, everything was fine, and you get them out of diapers, and you think that, well, that's a great occasion to get out of diapers, isn't it? But remember, you're going to be a nurse, you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a housekeeper, you're going to be a cook, you're going to be a chauffeur, a counselor. You're going to be their friend sometime, but they got to know your mom. They got to know you're the parent. And you're also going to be a disciplinarian. All those things. Plus, you got to carry on your own life and do things for yourself. But you got to remember, self doesn't come first anymore. God comes first, and then there's my husband, and then there's my children. And then there's my family. That's God's plan. We think about this, Proverbs 31:15, she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, a portion to her maidens. Moms, make sure those children are cared for. They're fed, they're clothed, they're taken care of. That's what moms do. Well, she takes time to study God's Word with the children too. And all this that's going on, there's still got to be time for God studying God's Word. 2 Timothy 3:15, from a child thou know the Holy Scriptures. We looked at that passage earlier. It's just got to be done. A Christian mom has to take time to teach your children the Scriptures. You may be tired. You may be wore out. They need to hear about God from you every day. It may not be an hour lesson. It may be a 10-minute lesson. You know, as long ago as it was, when I was little, Michelle, she's my age representative over here. You know what I remember about my mom the most? Kneeling down by the bed and us saying prayer. Don't remember much else. Oh, I'm dying when I was 18. But I remember that. She wanted to make sure that I knew something about God. Well, some days moms have to be in timeout also. And I've seen moms with faces like this, and you're just wondering, I know what you're wondering, why did we ever do this? Well, because that's life and you love them. Moms, again, are examples. She's an example of love. Love, when it looks like love shouldn't be there, moms are still there. Yes, they got it correct. They've got a discipline, but they still love. Now, this is an unusual passage here, but it shows a mother's love. There had been a change in the king. And the word went out that all the sons of the former king had to be killed. And Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth and spread it upon her rock, and from the beginning of harvest until the water dropped upon them out of the heaven, and suffered neither of the birds of the air to rest on them day by day, or for the beasts of the field by night. You know what she's talking about? She's talking about the bodies of her sons. They were two of the sons that were killed. And they were hung on a wall. And they were hung there so the birds could eat their flesh. She wouldn't let that happen to her children. She stayed there until she could take those bodies down. Now there's a mother's love. She had love for her children, and she was not going to see their bodies torn apart by those beasts. She loved them enough to stay there that long. Mothers need to love their children. Teaching them the Bible, that example of faith, and we look at the passage, you can read it there. That example of faith. When your children look to you, do they see somebody who's a faithful Christian? They see somebody who God comes first, and they know God comes first. And they know there's a right and there's a wrong. Because your faith teaches you there's a right and there's a wrong. There's a mom who loves their dad, and that mom is going to be there for their dad, and they know you can't put them against them. You know, it doesn't take children long enough, very long, to realize that you can go over here, mom, when she's away from dad, and go over here to dad, and you get a different answer sometimes. They got to know that mom's going to stand with dad. They may have to talk a little bit, but she's going to stand with dad. That's going to be the way it is, because she's a woman of faith. She has to be an example of commitment. Again, 1 Samuel, go back there. She said, "O Lord, as thou my soul liveth, my Lord, I am a woman that stood by thee here, praying the Lord. For this child I prayed, the Lord hath given me my petition which I asked him." The child was born. She had prayed to God to have that child, and the child was here, and now she gives him to the Lord. She gives him in the service to the Lord. That's commitment. Mothers have to be examples of commitment. We're committed to God, number one. God's always going to come first. I'm committed to my family. I'm going to stand on my family, but God comes before them. Mothers are examples of commitment. Well, some days are like this. And my class out there, the teenagers, we sometimes want to go check some of the classes to make sure the kids haven't done this to one of the teachers. So far, we've been all right on that. But mothers recognize their responsibilities. They are to manage the home, they're to watch the children, watch what they're doing. I'm not saying watch them like we watch babysitters. I'm talking about watching their life. They teach them good things, they're helping their husband, their children, they're examples of their children. She recognizes her responsibilities. You train your child, moms. You guide your children. You're preserving the church of tomorrow. In this audience today, there are elders for tomorrow. There are teachers for tomorrow. When you see the church of tomorrow is sitting with us today. And moms, you've got to realize that, and we appreciate that you do. We appreciate you being here every service like you are, because, you know, I've told you before, I remember those days getting two people ready besides ourselves and trying to get them here. And I didn't do a lot of getting the kids ready. Getting all ready and trying to get them here, it's a chore. You have to get up earlier sometimes. We appreciate the effort. Well, happy Mother's Day. Now, today's God's Day. The world set this aside as a day to honor mothers, and it should be. There's no problem with that. But let's remember, we're here as Christians to worship God, and we have visitors with us, and we're glad that you're here with us. As we think about the Lord and what He's done for us, how we've been blessed. Moms have been blessed to be mothers. I know couples that would love to have children that have been unable to, and they would be some of the greatest parents the world's ever seen. But as we think about mothers today, let's thank God that we have mothers, and we had good mothers. We have mothers to the future. One of them has a stick. As we think about all these things, let's remember today is the Lord's Day. Christ died for us. John talked about it there at the Lord's Supper table, and I appreciate what he had to say. Christ died for us that we have salvation. God loves us. You love God enough this morning to serve Him, to obey Him. And His Word says, not as some man said or what I think, but what does God's Word say? Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Repent of your sins. Confess His name that He is the Son of God. Be immersed in water. Remission of your sins. Be added to the family of God. That's what it takes. The Lord adds you to His church. You don't join the church. The Lord adds you to His church. If you're a child of God, you're not living as you ought, there's some changes you need to make. Let's make those changes. Let's make those changes. Ask for God's forgiveness. Repent of those things. If you'd like the prayers of the church, we'll be glad to pray for you. But again, the blood of Christ cleanses sin, not a prayer that I would ever wrote, but the blood of Christ. You need to respond. Come now as we stand as we sing.